We had to wait until Monday to get the race in, but it was worth it. NASCAR's Daytona 500 just concluded about 90 seconds before I turned on this camera. NASCAR's Xfinity Series race will happen in about an hour on FS1. That's another 300 miles, depending on how long it takes them to clean up the accident that occurred. Coming to the white, well, actually just past the white flag, with Austin Cindric and a couple of other vehicles involved. So the first stage was really, really weird. I'm not going to say I didn't enjoy it. It was really interesting. There was a lap six crash uh, caused by Ross Chastain getting into the six. The six hit the 42. 42 hit the 21. 21 hit the 77. 21 came back onto the racetrack and collected Priest, Burton, Hocevar, Gralla, Dillon, and Johnson. Most of the field ended up pitting on that caution, which is what ended up being what made the um, first stage so weird, as everybody decided to try to save fuel. Other than the three cars that stayed out, the 21, the 21 and the 77 were out at that point, and the three I thought was out, but he ended up coming back 52 laps down, ended up finishing about 55 laps down. It led to a two-line train about lap 20, where everybody was just sort of like going, just boom, back and forth. Not really much. It reminded me of how the Indy 500s has been. Nothing really happened. The 20 led, but the 20 was one of the cars that didn't pit, so he ended up having to come down pit road. And the problem with that was AJ Allmendinger. He was in the back of the pack 3 seconds faster because of how much the fuel saving happened. But it did pick back up, and then there was another pit stops sequence, which was great. So decent, decent stage. There was a bit of commercials in stage one, but that's not abnormal. I actually think that that's how they want to do it, because they notice that more people watch at the beginning of a sporting event, which is why you'll see in football and in basketball a lot more commercials in the beginning than at the end, especially because like at the TV window you'll move towards the end, and like it's a thing. Uh, Keep an eye on that the next time you watch a sporting event. Stage one was won by the 9 from Kyle Larson, Ross Chastain, Alex Bowman, William Byron, Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, Bubba Wallace, Martin Truex, and Daniel Suarez. That stage took about an hour to go 65 laps, which is basically the speed you would expect. Um, so that wasn't bad. The second stage was actually caution free. So there was no caution between the first and second stage. Kyle Busch hit the wall a little bit in the third stage. Kyle Busch was like over 330 laps in the 500. And he's had 63 Cup Series wins in his career, the most ever to win, most ever wins in the Cup Series career, to not win the Daytona 500. It got really racy in the second stage, a lot of 2 and 3 wide, a lot of moving around, a lot of lead changes. A couple of times the lead changes happened under commercial. The one that really bugged me was the first time that Chase Elliott led in the first stage. But the second stage wasn't too bad. It was pretty good. It was won by Ryan Blaney from Austin Cindric, Daniel Suarez, Kyle Busch, Tyler Reddick, William Byron, Bubba Wallace, Ricky Stenhouse, AJ Allmendinger, and Chris Buescher. I forgot that AJ Allmendinger was in the field for a second because I just put the numbers there. Ty Gibbs was nowhere to be seen, which I was surprised by. I was absolutely surprised that Ty Gibbs didn't do much today. But it is what it is. There was a pretty uneventful start of the third stage. Then fuel saving happened. Then the big one happened. What I didn't like was that Fox used a commercial break, a commercial for the big one. I was like, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? And that seemed to be the sentiment on Twitter as well. People were confused as to why Fox was doing that. But you know what? It happened. It was about 18 cars in the crash. It was actually triggered by William Byron. The 24 hit the 6, but it was the 6 and the 22 moving around with the 1. So, like, the 24, it was a red flag. So, okay, cool. Big group pitted with 6 to go. Restart 4 to go. They went 3 laps clean, and then pretty big crash. What was interesting was Mike was doing his white flag thing, the credit when bank thing, and then he was like, "Wait a minute, crash!" And then William Byron won. It was going to be William Byron or Alex Bowman, depending on the exact moment of caution. Somehow the one car ended up doing burnouts. It was a pretty good Daytona 500 this year. Only there were 2 stage cautions. There was the caution on lap 6. That's 3. Then there was the 4th caution for the big one. And then it ended at a caution. Only 5 cautions and only 3 of them for accidents. So that's actually a pretty good for speedway racing. Next week, NASCAR goes to Atlanta Motor Speedway. Atlanta Motor Speedway is going to be, I believe, a triple header. Next week. I believe it'll be a triple header. The Xfinity Series will be next week, or will be tonight. There is a NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race at Atlanta on 2 p.m. on FS1 on Saturday, and then the Xfinity Series is going to be at 5 p.m. or about an hour after the Truck Series ends, and then the Cup Series will be at 3 p.m. For the Am Better Health 400. It'll be another drafting type track. So it's Daytona and then Atlanta. I don't mind that. The only thing I have is, why do we go all the way to the West Coast, then come back for 2 on the East Coast, then the West Coast swing? But it would also be really dumb to do the Daytona 500, then a exhibition race, then the West Coast swing for points races. That really wouldn't make sense. But yeah, that really wouldn't make any sense. Overall, pretty good Daytona 500. Definitely better than what we saw on Friday in the Truck Series race and in the ARCA race, which I've never seen such bad racing between those 2 series. Those 2 series were so bad. It was 1:30 a.m. when I went to bed on Saturday morning. I kind of knew that it wasn't going to be that big of a deal because of the fact that we have breaking news on FS1's. I've got FS1 down. William Byron wins Daytona 500 under caution. Fox Sports 1's playing poker on the TV right now. So about an hour we'll have, basically they'll just come on, probably do the anthem, do the command, and then just go green. 300-mile race for the Xfinity Series. 6 drivers doing double duty. None of them won. It's saying approximately 9. I think probably a little bit after 9. I think they'll come on air at 9. So great Daytona 500. I give it a 5 out of 5. Let's hope we can build some momentum. Glad The Rock was able to stay for the command.